Well, good morning, everyone. Everyone feel the energy today? It's really buzzing in here. I mean, in the convention center, it's just so exciting. I'll introduce myself. I'm John D. Riley. I'm a researcher. I have a company called 0 Point Research. And I work with alternative energy and alternative science. And in the nutshell, I don't want to talk too much about me. I actually want to really focus on the time about the shifts of consciousness, shifting our paradigms in the way that we perceive and the way that we understand the world that's around us. The illusions, the reality, what we seem reality to be. And with the little tools that I'll give here as a gift today is just allowing you to walk out with a higher awareness, an actual shift in your conscious awareness of how you perceive things, how you see things. Because most people, when I started, I like to just say, I'll pick anybody, I'll pick you. So can you tell me what that is? Okay, great. So now I'll just say, now shift your consciousness a little bit, shift your awareness, and now look at this and tell me what it is. So now,
moving molecules.
Well, see there, now he's seeing it from a different aspect. Now that he interjected and put a little bit more information, I'll ask you again, what do you see?
Plastic that needs to be recycled.
Good, all right, she started to see the bigger picture. This is exactly what we're talking about, and that was perfect. You did everything right in regards to that aspect. So this is kind of fun when we start realizing, but now I'll take you even deeper on that. It's like when people show me this, I look at this and say, this is a piece of plastic, housing water, which is an amazing element. When we look at it, it is actually the chemical, or the makeup of it is 2 parts hydrogen, 1 part oxygen. And the bonding is still a mystery in nature, but when we look at it, we can actually take this, pour it out, we can drink it, and it'll sustain our life force. And it's one of the key elements of life on this planet. We go at it even deeper and say, if I took my abilities in the levels of what I know in my research, I could separate the hydrogen, put it over here and liquefy it, and then take the oxygen molecule, put it over here and liquefy it. Now what's really interesting is when you liquefy the two, you bring it back together, and then you bring another element to it, and that's fire. And you light it, and it's one of the most powerful fuels there is on this planet. How many people believe that's what water is? Okay, this is the thing that we have to realize is how much energy is in water, and we're getting there now. We're talking about when we look at hydrogen fuel cell technology. They take liquid hydrogen, which is literally water, separating of the hydrogen, liquefying it, putting it in a fuel cell, and then running it through electrode process, which creates high voltage, which creates enough energy to power the batteries and to drive a motor, and then the byproduct is distilled water out the tailpipe. So what was really funny is that when I was working on a little project about 10 years ago, and people would come over to my place and go, what are you doing? I said, I'm working on an engine that runs on water. I would get laughs most of the time. And I go, well, why do you find that funny? And they go, well, it's water. I go, right. In our awareness of what we perceive water to be, we have to look deeper. We have to come to the understanding of how important it is. And then we started connecting the dots. I hope everyone, when they look at this bottle of water, they will see it a little bit bigger from this moment on and have a bigger picture to the understanding. So I always like to start that. Some people get a headache, some people get really down. So this is kind of fun when we just come into that level of our awareness. And of course the plastic, yes, that's a whole different thing. When I go to Egypt, I take actually tours, groups to Egypt, I co-host. And I had a real big epiphany 2 years ago. I asked around, I said, what's the biggest import into Egypt? And they go, bottled water. I go, okay, great. I said, what's the biggest sanitation problem? They go, the water bottles. I go, well, okay, this is really interesting. Because no one wants to drink the water there. Because it's like so much chlorine. We think we have bad water. We go to a Middle Eastern country and, drink the water. So it's a whole different realization. That
it might be beautiful water you put in the bottle, but it's a petroleum product that it's in.
Well, exactly. We can go there deeply, but one of the things that it does, it makes people kind of upset. But wait, one of the things that what we like to do is see the bigger picture. When we can shift our consciousness, we can make the choices. And this is one of the key things in our paradigm shift. Now, how many people understand what paradigms are? Because I use that word a lot, and a lot of people don't know what it is. When we look at a structure for I'll use just a simple analogy. Like I'll just use the water again. We'll go back to the water. And I see what the water is. And we've been using it for one thing. But now I see the ability to power vehicles and power motors or using it as an alternative source because it is in abundance in many ways. Now what I'll do is I'll look at that and I'll say, I want to create a plan. I want to envision that in 7 to 10 years, this will actually be, I'll be able to build technology where I can use water as the fuel substance. So that is a paradigm shift right there in my consciousness. I'll look at the water, I'll look at the source of it, and I'll say I want to utilize it for something bigger. So I have to go out of what I've been used to and foresee what I want it to be and then shift in those 7 to 10 years to allow that to be the outcome. That's called a paradigm shift. So we all live in paradigms. And paradigms usually have a lot to do with beliefs. You know, what I believe I am. And then all of a sudden, someone's been telling you what you are, and something doesn't seem right about that. When you go against the system or your parents or your loved ones or the person who's trying to tell you what you are, but then you know something different about you. And so if something happens in your life where you can actually spark that realization within you, guess what? You have a vision. You have a vision, you have a yearning or a pull to take you to that, what you feel that you truly are. And right then, when you bring that in and you declare it, you shift your paradigm. It happens right in that conscious moment, and guess what? You're creating a timeline of that outcome.
Yeah.
So this is where it gets fun. And you don't really need to know what's going to happen to get you there. All you have to do is stick to that's where you want to be, and let life unfold along the way. This is where it gets fun. So I'm going to switch this up a little bit. Who's dealing with a lot of stress in their lives right now? I had a feeling. Okay. Would you like to be a volunteer?
Yes.
Okay, great. All you're just going to do is come up and sit in the chair. What's your name? Kayla. I'm John. Pleasure meeting you. She's a perfect candidate for this. I've never done this before, actually, so no, I'm just kidding. All right, I'm going to give you a choice. Actually, I'm going to do them both. First thing I wanted to do, I've been working on some advanced technology with some new technology that is, and I'm kind of using it in a totally different way. Without using audio, I would like you to listen to angels in your head. Would you be open for that? So I'm going to take this wonderful device. This is actually an ascension tool. Tools for higher consciousness. Anyone know the name of it? Yes, it is an iPhone, yes, but when people say if you don't own an iPhone, then a lot of people don't realize what an iPhone is that it also has a technology in it called an accelerometer. How many people know what that is? Okay, an accelerometer, this is what's intelligent, the reason why this is beyond a smartphone, is that it has a device in it that can measure its reference on the planet at all times. In X, Y, Z. It knows altitude, but beyond GPS, it knows where it is. It knows lateral acceleration. It knows milligauss or Tesla variances within its shield. That's what an accelerometer is. And that was actually advanced military technology 30 years ago. That was top secret stuff, and now it's in our phones. So there are people outside the box realizing what this device is. They go, wait a minute, it has an accelerometer in it. We can do so much. We can build applications beyond anything. And so this is where it gets fun, where our technology is taking us. So when you look to buy another phone or an assistant tool, because I'm going to use this tool in many ways today, I'm going to show you how this can serve us. So we're going to have a little fun with it, and just I'm going to use one little device here, and I have a little, what is a technology called an oral exciter. Now I'm going to turn it on. Now actually it's on now. You guys hear it?
No.
A little bit, right? Yeah, you're not supposed to. Okay, now all I'm going to do is I'm going to put this on your forehead, okay? And you just tell us what's happening here.
I think I can hear it now. I can hear it now.
The sound has increased to surround me. And I can feel vibrations all the way down to my hips.
Great. So what she just experienced is that she heard music in her head. Now, using a device like this, you actually don't need to use your ears in regards to the way that we can perceive sounds. And I can do like a little demo here. I'm just going to put it on my stomach
What
here.
kind of phone do you have?
It's an iPhone.
Yeah, but what's the parameters? If I wanted to get it.
Four.
Oh, well, we'll talk about that afterwards. Okay, now listen.
Do you have music in your guts?
Music in my body, music in my organs, music in my cells. And I remove it. I put it here. It's kind of interesting. We become the speaker.
Literally.
Isn't that interesting, though?
Yeah.
Yeah, so this works in a totally different way, and actually I could probably use a table. That's the same volume as me. I turn it way up. So almost anything becomes a speaker. So you put your ear up to the surface, anywhere you put it up, then you'll hear the music. So the only reason why I bring that is to show the frequencies. And this uses like 20,000 movements a second. And it vibrates the air volume around us. So when we put it within our physical structure, it vibrates the bone density and all the fluids within our system, and also the air within our ear canals and throat. And so that's the reason why the audio resonates. So it's like a cavity. It uses us as the amplifier.
What is that thing? What do you call that?
This is called an oral exciter. It's not readily available too much in the public, but I just wanted to show what it does, because some people sell it for one particular device. I'm actually working on technology to bring forth, to use it, because you can use it for inducing different frequencies within the body. It's really amazing when you capture certain frequencies where your mind and body goes. So we have to understand that the human system is multicellular. We're constantly shifting our frequency. When people look at a healing aspect of trying to dial in one particular frequency, we have to look at that. We're multi-harmonic. We're constantly shifting our vibration as well as our frequencies all the time, but multi-harmonic. So when I started looking at something that's vibrating at 20,000 movements, then I can start using all different influential frequencies, combining them, and that's when you start seeing some pretty magical stuff happen. So it gets fun. So let's see. I know that I don't think that probably released your stress that much, right?
That was very nice.
It was all right, so we're still going to use it. We're going to take it to the next level. So this one's really complicated. Okay, what I need you to do. This is really important. I just need you to sit there.
Okay.
That's it.
Right.
All right. Now I'm going to just turn this on. Now I want you. What should you?
Kayla.
What's that you turned on?
This is, I'm about ready to go there. Now I want everyone to look at Kayla. We talked about her stress. Okay, and then she was like stressed. And just look at her physically, and that's it. Okay, now stop looking at her. Just forget her for about 10 minutes. We're going to leave this on for about 7 minutes here, and I'm just going to go on and start talking about other things while Kayla's doing her thing. So she's just going to sit there, and you're just going to breathe. You're probably familiar with that. And we'll talk about that in 10 minutes. I'm going to make sure I time this right. Now, how many people believe that we live in an illusion? Oh, this is good. This is really good. Actually, about 2 more hands than the last time I did this one. That's a good percentage. No, I'm just kidding. But when we understand that the illusion, I like to bring it into a simple resonance. A lot of people started to realize my work, and when I started doing career work, actually I got kind of selected. When I started doing the work, I went to Lockheed Aircraft, and I went into the special program, and I qualified at the top of the class. And when I went there, they put me in the top secret projects. And it took 6 months. Once I got my top secret, then I got transferred to another department. They say, you go to this door, you enter a cipher number, you memorize it, you go in there, what you do, you never talk about. This is your story. What you've been doing for 6 months is what you do forever in Lockheed. So that's what happens, when you're working in top secret. So my friends never really believed what I did, because I had this story I used to tell over and over again. So I can talk a little bit about that now. That was a long time ago, back in the early 80s. So, but what we understand is that I work with technologies that I know, with no doubt, that people will never know exists on this planet. And one of the key things is understanding what military applications was using as advanced energy technologies, advanced frequency technologies. Because we created back in the 1880s the paradigms of our industry, the paradigms of our tech, our electricity. And it's far surpassed that, you know, in so many levels when we understand what is capable. Now, when we talk about paradigms, when we look at the world, if someone can remember the technology that was around in 1910, right? eBay and museums are good for that. You know, you can see the different devices that were available and how they were built. It's kind of interesting. But when we look at it now, and we made this big turn in the 50s, we went into what's called, you know, the tube technology or solid state circuitry. And then in the 70s, we shifted again. And back in 73, I think it was when the first company created the integrated circuit. And now the silicon age was upon us. Now everything that we use is micro-thin silicon wafers stacked. Micron etchings of vast cities of data that works with silicon to create timing, delays, logic. It's kind of mind-blowing. And when I saw it for the first time, it was beyond me in my comprehension. I just kind of looked at it and said, I know how things work, but this is like, how do we get here? You know, it was so far in an advancement of what I knew. I had to really start to question that and wonder where it came from and how we chose that path. So it's kind of interesting when we start understanding the technologies that we use, and all those are shifts in paradigms. You know, if I look at if I know more information about entertainment and the paradigms, I said, in your lifetime, I can get you to buy the same movie 4 times. Would you believe that? Own it 4 times, the same movie.
There's different, reasons, but sure.
Well, that's it. You know, most people would have a hard time of believing that. Now, if I said 20 years ago, in regards to paradigms, and I was a prophet on the street, and I go, I foresee in 20 years that you will pay more for water in a bottle than you do for gasoline. You would laugh me off the street, right? You would say, you crazy, get out of here, water's free, we drink it from the tap. 20 years, watch what happens. You will be paying more, and you will complain. You will complain about gasoline. But you won't complain about the bottled water that costs $1.50. You add it up, 3 of these is over a gallon of gas, So this is kind of interesting. We got to realize, we got to check ourselves. So when I talk about the industry or buying the same film 4 times, that's the reason why media or technology changes its format. How many people remember VHS? How many people remember Betamax? Yeah. Okay, how many people remember Laserdiscs? Laserdiscs, right? Yeah, now DVDs. DVDs, yes, everyone knows that. Now how about Blu-ray? Okay, now if you went through all those evolutions, guess what? You owned Star Wars on VHS. You owned Star Wars on Laserdisc. You owned it on DVD, and now you own it on Blu-ray. So again, that's a paradigm when we understand is that foreseeing the future, realizing that we can create medias and then advance and constantly change it and keep people buying the same thing over and over again. That's not really what I'm getting at here, but that's one of the awarenesses, one of the shifts that we have to come in to realize, go, wow, that makes sense. It's not about right or wrong. I won't say that he's right, he's wrong, but it's just about understanding how the world works. Now, who wants to take their vision up another notch here today? And we'll be good. This is good. I have a deprogramming, little simple instrument that you guys can do at home once I show you. It's a lot of fun. And it actually just shows you how to start to realize that your eyes see more than your brain allows you to decode. And how many people kind of understand that we are human computers? Okay, we have the brain, which is the microprocessor controller, and we have the body, that's the data store, the hard drives. So when we start to understand that, we can accept that we are, and we made computers to reflect what we are, and we're trying to get them now to be exactly what we are. We have to realize what we're doing with that level of technology. Once in a while, you can look at it. Don't stare at her.
Still breathing, yeah.
All right. So I have this iPhone again, and it's I got the camera on. You guys can see me, right? Okay, in the phone, there's a camera now. Now, would you believe that this camera, as low res as it is, has the ability to see more than you do? Anybody believe that? Okay, good. It's good that you believe it. It doesn't matter if you do or not. The key factor is that it has the ability to decode more of the visible to the invisible spectrum than the human mind allows us to decode. Now, if I had a chalkboard, but I don't need it, I can do it with my fingers. When we talk about the photonic spectrum of light, there is a bandwidth that goes all the way from ultraviolet, into the low blues, into the ultraviolet, all the way up past X-ray, gammas, infrared, far infrared, X-rays, gamma rays. We go the whole spectrum. X-rays actually on the furthest out. So that bandwidth is this big of light, or visible spectrums, invisible spectrums, the entire photonic realm. The human eye sees the color of the rainbow in that spectrum, and that is this big. So on that spectrum of realization, this is all we see. Now, a lot of people will think that that's a bad thing. And when we come into this realization, there's no good and bad, that we have to just see it from the perspective of the understanding. This little parameter of sight allows us to experience that rainbow frequency and not be cluttered by all this over here and all this over here. So this is kind of fun. It's like when I like to take a little demonstration. I'll take this little device, what's it called, an iPhone, and I go, okay, we'll put it on the phone section. And this is like what primary people buy this for. And I'll ask, do you know how this works? And I've been giving you a hard time. Do you know how this works?
I have a good idea.
Yeah. Well, it's a cell phone, right? Right? And you push the buttons, you want to call a friend, you hit send, and it does, right? Can you prove it?
Can I prove that it gets to them?
That it does what you say it does?
Yeah, pretty much.
By how? How would you
They
prove it?
respond back.
Okay, so now she's accepting that what this does is that it creates an ability to dial a friend, and you hit send, and they'll pick up and it'll establish a conversation. I want someone here to prove it to me. How does this little device do that? I can't see it. There's no wires. So how does it do it?
Waves.
Waves. Where are they?
We just don't see them.
We're gonna see them.
We don't see them. We don't see them. But we accept that they're there, right?
Yes.
So good. That's the only way this will work, right? Unless it's an illusion, right? And we're jacked in like Neo. Right? We're kind of there, right? Okay, now how many people, if you get the gift, how many people want to see how this truly works? Oh, you guys are in for it? Okay. Now, this is one of the biggest gifts, is be careful what you ask for. So I'm going to give you guys a headache right now. So what we're going to do is I'm going to give you guys all imaginary goggles that you all put on. Go ahead and put them on. Excellent. Now, you can see the spectrum of this. Now, watch very closely. Is that in the understanding, I want you to be able to see the signal just as this. What happens is that this works on a frequency from about 925 to 1.1 gigahertz. It's on a spectrum. We're just going to leave it wide like that. So those are very narrowing frequencies. And what happens is that this will send out a signal to a cell site. Now what it's doing at the moment, about every 2.5 seconds, it's sending out a frequency, a pulse, with an ID carrier on it. And that looks like a smoke circle. And it goes out. It goes, and it literally goes out 3 miles instantaneously, the speed of sound. Every 3 seconds. So now imagine that. I'm holding this up, and you see every 3 seconds you see a ring, and it just goes out exponentially, just like shoots out, like a smoke ring. It just grows 3 miles every second. Okay, now keep seeing that every 3 seconds. Keep seeing that in your mind. See that ring just leaving this phone every second. Okay, now it's going out 3 miles. Now there's a cell site in proximity within that 3 miles around here, or this would work. Now that cell site acknowledges it, realizes where it is, and now sends a signal back saying, I acknowledge you, you're on the cell tower. I'm going to communicate with you. Now you have to see that signal coming and hitting this phone. Okay, now it's not just hitting the phone. It's actually hitting, it's just blasting through this building. Now see that frequency. Now see this going out, and now seeing that frequency come back. Okay, it's getting a little visually uncomfortable now, isn't it? Okay, now while you guys see both of those, now I want to say, now turn your cell phone on. Now watch his at the same time as you're watching mine. Now look at the cell site answering his phone. Now turn yours on. Now let's watch hers. We've got a lot of movement going on in the building, right? So now, how many people are ready to leave the room? Okay, but I suggest you don't leave without taking those goggles off, because as soon as you leave, you're going to see everyone's cell phone, all the cell sites transmitting. You're going to run out. You're going to see AM radio, FM radio, XM radio, all these invisible frequencies that are bombarding us as we speak. You know, a lot of people think if I turn the radio on, that's when the frequencies are receiving. No, they're here all the time. We are surrounded by so many different frequencies. Now, what does that mean to the human system? All right, take your goggles off. We're done. I want to give it. And take a nice deep breath after that. How many people are glad that's over? All right, so when we start understanding the reasons why, you know, this is actually a gift when we come into realization of what we can see and why we see it. So this is where it gets fun. Now, when we get to the point of asking a question, how are you feeling over there? Do you feel a little relaxed?
I feel very relaxed. I've yawned like
Anyone notice like her physical features like a little bit softer, more relaxed? And, yeah, you notice that she was very open and willing. She didn't ask what she was doing. She felt she was hopefully she felt she was in a safe place and realized that.
I didn't want to stop the angels thing.
Yeah, no, I had to pull that off. Everyone's like, no. So when we kind of understand that, well, good. So in your overall of when you came into the room, your stress level, where it was, if you measured it to what it is now, the big difference. Okay. And what did she do? Breathe. She just sat there and did what she does. She just breathed. But she sat in an energy field of unification, and we call it the Lifestream Generator. And this is usually like one of the biggest, profound ways to explain it. Because if I came up here and told you what it does, it's a belief disbelief. You can leave the room believing me or leave the room disbelieving. But when you see it happen, when someone just sits there and you can, with your own physical eyes, just watch a person soften and relax and yawn a few times. You realize, if we can do that in our lives, we can go someplace that will bring us back into balance, relieve our stress in 10 to 15 minutes. That's not a bad thing, right? Now when we understand how we feel, and what is happening in the human system at that time, because we move out of the present moment. This is one of the things that I really like to really work, as passionately as possible, is to get people into realization, is about health, about conscious shift. We have to, if we want to shift our physical health, we have to become conscious of what we are doing in our life, and how we eat, how we live, what environment we are in. If we want to shift our consciousness and move into higher realizations, we have to do the same thing. We have to shift that, become aware, and not be in the illusion of what we think we are, or the belief structures of what people tell you, or the peer pressures. If there's a passion and yearning, within you, it's time to act on it. We are at the time on the planet where these energies are in alignment and are allowing us to move into this great shift. And if we hold on to those old beliefs, we're going to be miserable. We're going to be miserable. If you're tethered and you're saying, if you're feeling this pull to go someplace, and I look at you and say, well, what's stopping you? Well, they go, well, I can't right now. I just usually, I get, really sensitive about that, because you see a person, they immediately connected to their passion and their yearning. I so want to go there so badly. And I'm like, well, why don't you? Oh, I don't have the money. I go, wait a minute, that's not stopping you. Those are illusions stopping you. And that's your way of thinking. You're taking yourself out of the present moment, what you don't have now, and stopping yourself from getting there. We didn't say what day. And that's where it gets difficult when people say, it'll never happen because I don't have the money. It's like, well, you got to see it. You got to visualize it. You got to say, on this day, I'm going to be standing on this mountain, looking at my watch, and I'm going to declare it. I know I'm going to be there, and it's going to be a passion. And then we have to just allow it to happen. Not what we have in our bank now. Especially if you have 11 months to manifest it. It'll be amazing when you literally set that, engage our law of will, our own intention, our passions and desires. It moves us in such an incredible force forward. And it'll blow you away. You literally will have miracle events start to happen in your life. And I love for people to come back to me and share their miracles once they really start to master their own thoughts and realize it. It's the power of my mind that is limiting me, not what I think I have or don't have. So this is where it becomes fun. So you good?
I am.
All right, excellent. You can sit back down. How many people? Who else wants to try it?
John, I'd like to identify that about 3 years ago, we got one of John's Lifestream machines. And right after purchasing it, I fell and broke my pelvis in 3 places, 8 ribs, as well as some other miscellaneous damage. And we used his Lifestream, our Lifestream machine, 3 to 4 to 5 times a day. Sometimes I laid on it with support, sometimes I laid it on me. It was very influential in returning my body in half the time of what physical therapists expect.
Yeah, we love to see that. And you know what's great? That's your machine right here.
Oh, is it?
Really?
It's all fixed already?
Yeah, it's fine. Yeah, they brought it in for a tune-up. So I said, I think I'll use it because I knew they were going to be here. So it's fun when we realize that there are technologies out here, and what the technologies are literally precursors. When we really look at what the technologies that we use, why we buy them, because they enhance what we are capable of. You know, you buy a flat screen TV to watch the latest movie. You know, to bring it into your home. And, you know, but we can also realize that we can visualize an incredible movie in our own minds if we choose to go there. But we use the technologies to enhance it in the three-dimensional world. So this is kind of fun. You know, don't deprive yourself of the technologies. It's kind of amazing. You know, but you know, my kids say, "Oh, you know, you're so attached to your technology." I go, "No, I enjoy it while I can." You know, but I can turn it off and go. You know, I can literally walk away from the technologies. It's not a problem. I just honor it that it's here. You know, to be able to hear angels. Come on. Okay, well, great. Well, we'll talk about the live stream. I have flyers, and I also have a booth downstairs. I'm in 416 if you want to come and experience it. We have the individual units, and also we have a very large white column. I think some of you probably have seen that, but it's very powerful. It'll actually resonate this entire room. So literally everyone in this room, if we put it in the center, would be feeling exactly like she did. You know, so it's kind of fun. All right, we're going to take the vision to the next level here. I wanted to. Oh, there is a built-in mic. Oh, that's kind of fun. All right. So what we're going to do now, we're going to shift. We're going to just do a little simple process of vision shift, or actually deprogramming of the computer to the eyes. And when we realize that the human eyes see more than the brain allows, and why is that? Why does he keep saying that? It's because it's based on our conscious belief of what we are. You know, it's hard for people to believe that, you know, you meet like a Siddha master or, you know, or someone who's been Christed or a Buddha, you know, someone of that high level energy, you know, that can touch you and anything that's in balance, you know, all of a sudden you have spontaneous healing, you know, or you feel so emotional in front of these people. What are they that, and you're not? If they're truly in alignment with their gifts, they'll just let you know that they just are here to remind you of what you are. You know, this is what's really incredible when we realize what every single one of us in the room are capable of. You know, so, and using these little tools of realization, again, it doesn't matter if you believe me or not. I like to just bring technologies and put them on the table and show proof of the transformations of what we're capable of with simple understandings, higher level of consciousness. So hopefully you guys are getting that, you know, just in the, you know, what my mission is. Now, this is kind of fun. I'm going to use this. And I'm going to beam you guys this beautiful violet energy. How many people are seeing it? You guys, what are you seeing? Little red? Yeah. Little subtle red? But right now, actually, would anyone here believe that that's actually nearly a blinding light, almost as bright as that? It's hard to believe, isn't it? It's on a spectrum that our brains won't allow us to decode. But you're getting pummeled with an intense amount of light. It's like me taking that and shining it on you right now. Now, if you open yourself up, you can. It's on the infrared spectrum. It's right out of the red spectrum, and it's what we call infrared. And you can see a little bit of red, but believe it or not, that is like light pummeling you right now. So what I want you to do is just take my iPhone and hold it up like you're taking a picture of me, and just hold it above your head so people can see. And I'm going to point this at the camera. Okay, everyone can see it? Now watch. Now I want you to just look at that. And I want you to look at this, and I want you to look at that. And do it about 5 times. Just look at this, and look at that. Look at this, and look at that.
Let me take a picture.
I know. It'll just be a blinding light. So now let's turn it so the people over here can see it. You know, just turn your camera a little bit. There you go. You see the light? Okay, you see this? And now you see that. This, you don't see it, but there you do, right? Okay, that's a blinding light, right? It's intensely bright. The lens is like kind of back away. I'm moving around, you can see it's intense. So what does that tell you?
Our eyes are limited.
Cameras right there.
Our eyes are limited.
No. No, that's not true.
For the brain
Cameras
cells,
more
but
capabilities than we do.
The eyes.
How do you fix that?
Well, no. No. Now there, don't jump.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Okay, you don't want to get too far ahead of yourself. You know, this is one of the things is that when a lot of people think that their eyes don't see it, but that's not true. Your eyes are taking in that data. But the eyes have to go through a process through the brain that goes into the recognition, into what we truly see. Because remember, there's a wiring system that goes here. It's not direct conduit, or we'd have a hard time in existence on this planet, in this spectrum of reality. So when we realize is that, okay, yeah, maybe there is some truth to that, that my brain is not allowing me to truly see what's in existence. Because you meet people that can see auras, chi energy, dead people, you know, multidimensional. And when we don't see it, you know, if you were wearing this on your neck, and I go, man, you got a blinding light, can you turn that off? You know, this guy is like intense. You guys see the light on him? And everyone else is like, no. I go, what are you talking about? It's like right there. They go, dude, get away from me. You know, like you're starting to bother me, you're making me nervous. And I go, but wait, look how lit he is. Now, I'm passionate about what I see, but then the person next to me doesn't see it, and guess what? They start to go, you know, like, I think this guy's a little off. And then all of a sudden I'm like, what's wrong with this guy? Two different perceptions because I see it and he doesn't. So where are we?
Different paradigms.
We're in two different levels of consciousness and abilities. Now, if he stayed with me, and I go, I'm going to show you how you can see it. I'll work the process. Are you open to that? If he goes, yes, then we're going to do something amazing. And he's going to be in that same vibration and understanding eventually and be able to see it. If he says no, guess what? He made the choice not to shift. And one of the things that we have to do is we have to honor that. I no longer get mad or upset. You know, I have this incredible gift, and a person goes, I don't want it. I go, but it's the most amazing gift in the world, or in the universe. It's the answer to the universe. No, that's okay. I was married to someone like it. And I was like, oh, I'm offering this great gift, and she won't receive it. It's like, and then I started to realize is that it's different perceptions of understanding. So now I can hold a gift out to her. I mean, it's such an amazing process. You know, how we became best friends. So now I can hand her, I said, I have this incredible gift. And she'll go, oh, thank you. You know, and it's incredible that you can get there from the repulsion, you know, to the acceptance. And it had to happen here. You know, I stopped pointing the finger and go, oh, you're so messed up. I went, well, what's going on with me? You know, what is it, my frequency is it? And then I realized, you know, if we love something so bad, we do it in force, that person's going to get away from us because it's too intense. They can't understand it. So we have to do it from a softer space that we have to explore and find within ourselves. This is where it gets fun. You know, when we start to see it, you know, when we bring it in, it's almost like be the change that you want the world to see. You know, when we see the stuff that's happening in Egypt right now, you know, I mean, how many people felt that before you even checked the news? You know, yesterday.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. There was a wave of energy. I'm like, what's going on with my heart? I'm feeling this incredible joy. It was about 9:30 in the morning yesterday. Then I went, what's going on in Egypt? And I turned on Al Jazeera, and millions of people were just celebrating. I mean, it was like, and I was just there in November. So connected to what was happening. I'm like, it's happening. You know, this is the awakening. This is the liberation of the people, removing fear from their path. And what was amazing as a science researcher, I take technologies to the pyramids and to the temples in Egypt. And we go 12 days, Upper and Lower Egypt. And I take devices, I take technologies like this, and I can take this and turn it on. And right here, and it'll affect the people close proximity. You know, but when I take it into the sacred temple and turn it on, it'll fill this entire room with energy. Now, how does that happen? There's nothing mystical about it. It's all about the advanced, the technological and the energetic understanding, as the Egyptians knew. When they were building these temples, they were using grid lines of the planet. They knew where vortexes were. They knew where the ley lines were. They knew where the waterways are. And they were accumulating all these energy fields. And so if I could take a device, it's so simple, actually smaller than that, measure outside, measure the field, and then put it in a room, a sacred chamber, turn it on, and the measurement is just off the wall. What's happening? The technology didn't change, it's just amplifying what already exists. So we can start understanding what holiest of holies or the sacred chambers represented, in the time. And so when I went there in June, I did these measurements. And then I went back in November, and I went, the energy here has doubled. And I literally was able to, and we were at certain temples where we were able to feel the energy in corridors. You can actually, it was like fluid, moving, and it was about 2 feet. And when people lay there, they didn't want to leave. They were in this beautiful unified energy that's coming from the planet, the grid, once again, because of our alignment that's happening in the galactic, outside of ourselves. Outside of one single individual to the bigger picture. When we're out in space looking at the planet, our perspective of life changes drastically. And all your stuff kind of almost like goes insignificant. How many people will go sailing or hit the high seas? And you just, after about 2 days, you just see nothing but ocean. That life back here is kind of, you see it from a whole different perspective, understanding. And then when you turn around, you start heading back, and the continent is coming into visualization, and now all of a sudden you have that ability when you return to visualize all these things that are possible. I did this for 18 years of my life. I would take people with me and just head out, watch the sunset, and say, had everyone just look to the sun, and say, avoid looking at the land. And after about 10 minutes of that, you move out of your little cage of what we think our life is. And it's amazing. And these are like little simple tools, to when we have to shift our perspective. We have to allow ourselves to awaken. And we can use, just today, hopefully as a gift. A lot of you are thinking. Some of you might have headaches. If you do, you come over to my booth, I'll give you a free Lifestream experience to bring it all into balance. It's just utilizing that, like being able to realize that we're filtered. We only allow a certain spectrum. By is it? Now, it's not a bad thing. Realize that it's a gift. Because if we saw everything else, it would be, we wouldn't be able to see the rainbow as we do now. We wouldn't be able to see the clouds and the mountains and the green, of everything existing. So we all are here in our consciousness in this way to enjoy it and watch something absolutely amazing happening. We saw what was happening in Egypt when we can measure that human frequency. When we realize that there's a measurement, most people that are struggling, they're at about 85 to 125 of the human frequency of consciousness. Buddha, Krishna, Christ, avatars like that, they were at 1,000. So you can see the difference. For someone that's at 85 to be next to a person at 1,000, that would be a huge separation of the frequency. So this person would perceive this person as doing miracles. Because they have capabilities beyond what they can comprehend at that, or that they're aware that they're capable of. So that we're all shifting, we're all moving through the base harmonics. And we saw it in Egypt because I was able to actually measure the field expansion that's happening there. And what happens, it changes the base harmonics. So when people were stuck at 85 or 100, now they're at 225. And now they cannot access the fear frequency as easy anymore because they were sustaining in the fear frequency. Now they're no longer. So now they have to struggle to get down there. They've been liberated and coming into realization, and it happened in such a large consciousness effort. We saw religion not being an issue, and this is one of the things that should be amazing for most people. When we saw Muslims and Christians, honoring and respecting each other, and that was a symbol that went around the world. So this global transformation is happening in consciousness. Yes?
You're aware of the Zeitgeist movement then?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Oh yeah.
Because
without a doubt.
that's the first really global attempt to reach,
And it's been doing a very good job.
30 different countries, or 60 countries in 30 different languages.
Yes.
Mozambique up on the front lines, supposedly, where our men are at. Fighting.
Yes.
And
Yes.
if anybody hasn't seen it, go to www.
I actually have DVDs to hand out to people.
All right. Yes. If you really want to go to the next level, it's a great amount of information to go from. But I want to thank everyone for being a part of this today. You use those tools.